well, there are plenty of videos being posted every day to get your little fix while waiting for the next beta. So, well, first a bit, hello everybody, bit of an introduction. So, well, I hope everybody enjoyed the beta. It's been actually quite a while. We wanted to organize that right after the beta, but well, we had other stuff to do, so it's been what, like 1 month and a half for this. So better late than never, but let's do that.
In terms of like modding and that sort of stuff.
Well, some of the game is made with Unity, so there are tools that will be certainly existing tools for modding games made with Unity that would be compatible with our game. Well, I'm really not the best person to answer that kind of stuff because I'm not dealing with the technical part of the modding ability. But we are using I would say regular 3D models, for instance. So I mean, made with like we don't have a special format for 3D models. So if importing your own 3D models in the game should not add an extra level of complexity to that. As for what will be possible when, how, I don't really know. It's more about we don't want to prevent that. We just want to make sure that, well, people cannot crack DLC open with the modding tools. That's the only thing that we want to prevent. For the rest, it's so release date not announced yet, but this year, like, well, second half of the year, as you guessed. Like, I've removed the Q1 from the, we're in the polishing phase, but it takes quite a lot of time to do all this stuff. It's 2024. That's our schedule at the moment. So second half of 2024, basically. We will use Glico 2 system for the ranking. It's a more modern ELO system. It's called, well, you can Google it. It's called Glico 2. You have the formula. So it's it's the same system as the others. Like if you fight someone that is superior to your ranking, you gain more ranking. If you fight someone who is inferior to your ranking, you lose. Well, if you win, you don't win a lot, but if you lose a lot. That's always the same system. The XP system is more like a cumulative system, rather, while the ranking is really, well, a ladder that you can climb up or down. Like XP, you gain it, and once you've gained XP, you don't lose your XP anymore. That's a different system. And all the rewards and stuff like that in the game will be based on the XP. So if you, I don't know, unlocking a new camouflage for units or new avatars, it will be a system of accumulation like that. And we're thinking at the moment, like, will we make a system of seasons where you, for instance, let's say you have 100 different levels, and when a new season starts, everybody goes back to level 50, and you can climb up again to gain new rewards that are added every season. Maybe we'll do a system like that. Maybe we'll do it simpler. If we don't have time, we'll see what can be done or not. What's the question? So will there be any wipe?
VoIP, like a voice system, VoIP chat.
Voice over IP. Okay. No, we don't plan to include that. It takes a lot of bandwidth compared to the rest, and well, so the game happens in the Baltics, so it's not a very mountainous place on Earth, so we didn't want. There will be maps with a bit more elevation. Like what did you have? Yeah, like in Yelena, it's a swamp, so it's totally flat. The highway map, well, you have the trench of the highway, but not much. Actually, for instance, the highway maps of Frontiers has been modified a bit so that you see the long forest that is in diagonal of the map now has a bit more elevation in it, so little mountains in it. So, but it's never like you never fight in the middle of the Alps because that's really not the setting for the game.
Felix.
Yeah, well, the specs you can we are regularly experimenting stuff. It will be 5. This stuff is stuck now. It's there's no change on that, so we will have 5 spec on each side. And after that, like the what is the spec going to be about? It depends how we spread the units between the specifications. So we're still hesitating sometimes between the different organizations. So I cannot really tell you what is going to be the final because maybe it's going to change.
Beta.
No. Well, first we have let's say two major categories, which is standard match and custom match. Standard match is the match that is compatible with the auto match, automatic matchmaker. So this is what you had during the beta. This is what we wanted to test because it's actually the most complex. But we also have a custom match system, which is a very classic lobby. Like you join in, there are 10 slots, 5 for each team, and you can change you can choose the map. You see the host is the king of the lobby and decides everything. You're too powerful. You join another lobby that is stacked with a team, and you will end up with random people. So you quit this lobby. After that, you create your own. You wait 40 minutes for it to fill. You start the game, and 2 people leave at the beginning.
How will this work regarding the nations? At the start, there will only be like US and Russia, but later, after new nations are added, is it like you can mix the nations, or would it still be like if that's a France DLC, 5 France players, or could you just mix the different nations?
We have not decided yet. Well, we have not decided yet, but the two solutions are you already named them. Like either in fact, we can have some in between solutions, but it's like either each nation is independent. So we had France, and everybody plays France together, like it's France versus USA, or we allow some mixing. But in that case, the question can be like, is it okay to have France plus USA versus France plus Russia? Is it okay to have France plus USA plus Russia against France plus USA plus Russia? We'll see. The arguments, well, in terms of balance, I would say keeping them separated would be the simplest. There is also the possibility to say, okay, let's make alliances. Like, okay, you can have France with USA, but you cannot have USA with Russia. But in that situation, you're recreating something like a blue 4 red 4 style, and you generally have much less interesting nations to play on the red 4 side. So it's not really a good idea to recreate a NATO versus Pact duality in this game, especially when there are other nations that don't really belong to any of the two alliances. So we'll see. There are systems, like for instance, you have systems in Warhammer where depending on the let's say all the factions that you play together, you have a bonus. So if you play, I don't know, Space Marines plus Imperial Guard, you get a bonus. If you play Space Marines plus Orcs, you don't get any bonus. You see, there are that kind of system can exist as well. But since we only have 2 nations at the moment, we didn't tackle the problem yet. We keep that for later. Otherwise, we would be bored. What would we do? And potentially, one possibility is to say, in a standard match, it's only one nation per team, and in custom match, you do what you want.
The capturing of zones. So would it be in the future that we gain points while capturing the zone, like in Red Dragon, for example? Or do we keep it the same as in beta, like right now, where how many zones do you have in the end determines the victory?
Ideally, well, it's not done yet, but there is a plan for that, to find a good middle between, find a solution that avoids the problems of both systems, because the system we had in the beta, it's a system where everything is determined only at the end, which can lead to very long matches without much interest. Sometimes if you don't manage to capture the last zone, well, that's more a level design problem. In this case, you bring the last zone a bit closer to the middle to help capturing it. But the problem is that it's not helping the beginners to understand the dynamic of the game, because I've often seen people like staying in the middle with the statu quo situation, and only in the last minute like move their troops forward to try to capture the last point, which is obviously too late. And if they had done that like 10 minutes before, they would have won the match. So the current system is not giving player at every instant of the match to be aggressive. But its advantage is that you can take your time to think your movement and prepare something, and you're not forced to absolutely attack all the time and sacrifice your units. Otherwise, you lose because your points are ticking. It's a system of tickets. The advantage of the tickets is that it's pushing players in the right direction. Like, you win the match by being aggressive, by killing enemy units, stuff like that. But the problem of system of ticket is that you can, if you're the winning side, generally you have no incentive to continue the fight or continue being aggressive and keep the fight interesting for both sides. Generally, what you can do with tickets is just make sure you're gaining tickets, just a bit of them, and just wait, keeping a bit of the best of both worlds. But I don't want to talk too much about the details. I keep that as a R&D secret, a game design R&D secret, something like that.
Beta was like infantry versus tanks and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, we've changed that a bit. Like, we're still experimenting with that, but generally we've increased the damage of infantry versus infantry, which was really low. We've increased a bit the HP of infantry, so basically, like, we moved the HP from 4 to 5 per soldier, so it's like 25% resilience for infantry, but with infantry versus infantry fight being more lethal. But one thing is certain, is that if you use your infantry squads one by one and expect them to stop 3 tanks worth 10 times their price, it's not going to work. You cannot expect a 50-point infantry to stop a 500-point tank easily.
Drones now. What is the intended purpose of drones?
To be a cheap recon, and it's only like you mostly like in your rear or stuff like that. You can do that. We have added low flying drones as well that help them survive against long range anti-air, stuff like that. We will make more betas, that's certain. Yeah, and how many and when, I don't know. It's you see, we make one, and depending on the needs and stuff, we make another one eventually. At least one, at least one before the release.
When do we get to nuke France?
The nuke, well, I don't know, maybe in the next beta, I think. That was your question, right? I got it right. When do we get the nuke?
Yeah.
Well, probably.
What kind of post-release support is planned? I mean, will the patches contain new factions or just bug fixes and rebalance? And new factions will be added as paid DLC.
Yeah, generally new factions will be paid DLC. It's well, basically you count the amount of money it takes to create that. Like if it's generally a new faction, think of it with new factions that will go with it in a new setting, plus all the 3D models, the voice acting, all the stuff. Like it's a big work to create a new faction. So this will be released as paid DLC. What the free support of the game, it depends on its success, but it looks like it's going to be very successful according to the feedback we get from the number of wish lists and stuff like that. It's really tackling the problems of the player, like what is important. Is it mostly problems of bugs? Is it problem of quality of life features missing, stuff like that? And this stuff, you don't make people pay for quality of life feature. It's like everybody has it or nobody has it. It's not something that you buy. So depending on what are the most pressing needs, we will choose what we do. You see, it's always the same. Like we have a limited amount of time, so we need to choose what is the most important.
Will you change the active protection system to make it more unique, maybe? That the roast can catch rockets from the front and Iron Fist catch the tank shells, maybe something like this.
No, we will keep it 360 degrees because it can be really micro intensive. Like you can bait the enemy. You can bait the enemy tank to turn its armor in one direction to shoot it from the side, and it's small, so you need to be zoomed in and really micro intensive to do that kind of stuff. So
will there be spectators and replay mode?
Spectators, yes, we have them now. It's working. Replay, we're still working on it. We don't know, like probably maybe not for release. That's the kind of stuff. If we don't manage to have that for release, this is definitely something that we will work on after the release, because well, it's an important stuff. And
if not a secret, how many members are you in development team?
We are about 15 people.
Okay,
15. Well, it's development. That's pure development, by the way. It's like if you count Slytherin stuff, like it's many more people. But like for the developers putting their hands in the engine to make sure that the game is working, that's 15. After that, you have people like voice actors that I don't count that, like voice actor, the guys from Slytherin for the marketing, the communication, all this stuff. So the good stuff is that you don't do the same thing every day. It would be the main advantage. It's not factory working. You're not, screwing bolts repetitively all day. It's at some point it's making maps. At some point it's writing dialogues. At some point it's preparing interface, game mechanics, stuff like that. So the ability to do many different tasks to me has much more value than doing one task in particular, because I think that any task becomes boring over time, whatever it is. So being able to change has the best value to me. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye everyone.